Let's talk about Brian Schweitzer, the former governor of Montana. He's also a potential, he might be running for president as a Democrat. He's an interesting guy with some interesting quotes that are coming out of a recent profile of him in the National Journal by Marin, Cogan. Listen to some of these things that he had to say. Don't hold this against me, but I'm going to blurt it out. How do I say this? Men in the South, they are a little effeminate. They just have effeminate mannerisms. If you were just a regular person, you turned on the TV and you saw Eric Cantor talking, I would say, and I'm fine with gay people, that's all right, but my gaydar is 60 to 70%. But he's not, I think, so I don't know. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he seems a little gay. Only 60 to 70%, but that'll get you in the door of the bathhouse.
Well, I wasn't quite clear on whether he was saying he wasn't perfectly sure he was gay because his gaydar only works 60 to 70%, or if he was saying, no, my gaydar is good, but I'm only sensing 60 to 70% gayness out of Eric Cantor.
I think he gives it 60 to 70% chance of gayness.
Okay.
From Brian Schweitzer's point of view.
I like the idea of Brian Schweitzer as a meteorologist. I'm seeing 60 to 70% chance of gayness over Eric Cantor today, and partly cloudy in Virginia.
I love, though, how it works in Washington. If you have a position of power, nobody says anything bad about you. But if you lose an election, like, it's not just political text. You're gay. Let's kick him in the ass on his way out.
So what's funny is you're right about that, John, because as soon as Eric Cantor lost, all the people who usually just suck up to him, like Morning Joe's a perfect example. They loved having Eric Cantor on. He was such a huge part of the establishment. That show's all about the establishment. The minute he stepped out the door, they were like, is this shiv sharp enough? They did a segment about how, he used to come in here with a big security detail, and like he thought he was some big guy. I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but one of our guests that we brought on to shiv him said something first. So let's all get in there and start pounding him, right? Kicking the crap out of him. Other Republicans immediately turned. They're like, well, I mean, Cantor. Cantor. Who liked Cantor anyway? He was definitely in line to be the next Speaker of the House. Now there's this melee because they're like, we don't know who's going to be the next Speaker. Meanwhile, you lose the power. I mean, within just a little minutes, they're like, whoa,
you're nobody and you're gay.
Okay,
it's rough.
Now for Schweitzer, at least he's a Democrat, right? He's supposed to oppose him. But then I don't think you're supposed to oppose him like this.
Yeah, well, he says not that there's anything wrong with that. And look, to be totally honest, like when we see a lot of times Republican politicians or sometimes like evangelical leaders, and they're a little bit questionable, we'll point it out. Not because we're attacking them, not because we think being gay is bad, but because we believe in accuracy. And if you're hiding it, and especially if you're hiding it while acting out against the interests of gay Americans, then we should identify that, because that might push you in a direction of coming to grips with it and doing the right thing vis-a-vis the gay community. But it wasn't just Eric Cantor that Brian Schweitzer attacked. I've got two other quotes. He also had words for Dianne Feinstein. This is about the NSA spying. He says, she was the woman who was standing under the streetlight with her dress pulled all the way up over her knees. And now she says, I'm a nun when it comes to this spying. I mean, maybe that's the wrong metaphor, but she was all in. Maybe it's the wrong metaphor, but I'm going to say it to someone who's interviewing me for the National Journal.
Okay, no, here's Schweitzer Strategy. No one knows me outside of Montana, and no matter how much I am progressive and I speak out strongly against the spying, against Wall Street, etc., nobody's paying attention. I'm going to make him pay attention. All right, if I got to call somebody gay, if I got to call somebody basically a hooker.
He's got a coin that he flips for each person.
Right, but you're going to pay attention to me, and then once you do, I'm going to tell you, hey, listen, the spying sucks, the bankers suck, and by the way,
sucks. Men.
And you went a little further than he did. Okay, that would be more than 60 to 70%.
I don't think he's gay, by the way.
Okay,
Lindsey Graham maybe.
Okay, and then he's going to tell us all these things that might actually be true. Now, it's a fascinating strategy. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if it's effective. It's a little out there, right? And you're right. I think he picked the wrong target. Eric Cantor had never thought for a second that he was gay. I mean, maybe my gaydar doesn't only works 10 to 20%. I don't know, right? And yes, there are reasons to point out Republicans who we have very good evidence are gay, because when they are outed and they confess, almost always switch immediately from voting against gay rights across the board to voting for gay rights. And that makes a big policy difference. So there's a good reason to do it, but it's a curious topic. And he throws all Southerners under the bus. He says, you're all
gay.
effeminate. So now that's interesting because that's what a careful politician would never do.
He's not going to get those states anyway.
I know, but look, what he's basically doing there is like he's saying you don't get it. Okay, John McCain talked about being a maverick or something. No. I'm a maverick. I will throw the entire South under the bus because I don't give a damn about the general election. I'm probably not going to get those southern states in the general election anyway.
Yeah.
I got to get noticed in the primaries. And
This is one way to do it.
Right, and among Democrats, progressives, liberals, etc., if you call the whole South gay, at least people are paying attention, right? And so and you take on Feinstein like that. Now a lot of women might be upset.
Wiser. Oh, that's true. He called her a hooker.
Yeah, a lot of women might be upset, but again, we don't like what Feinstein did to support spying. So all of a sudden, Brian Schweitzer, whether you like him or you don't.
Yeah, he's on the radar. No, from the point of view of people who have to report political news, I hope this starts a trend where they just start calling each other jackbags and douches and stuff like that. It'll be much more fun for us. But one other quote from Brian Schweitzer, this one perhaps a little bit more serious because this actually has something to do with potential policies in the future. He was talking about the situation in the Middle East and he says, if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, that's fine. That happened after Alexander the Great left. That happened after the Russians left. Who cares? They live in the Stone Age.
No, it's over. Schweitzer's a guy to watch out for. Okay, and I'll tell you why. He's decided all rules are suspended. Okay, I'm running as a populist.
Decency.
No rules barred.
Yeah.
Cage match. Okay, and we haven't had a cage match in a long time. We haven't had a real populist in this country. So when he says, God, "Screw the Middle East," I don't give a damn. Now Washington's like, "Hey, wait a minute. Now cooler minds need to prevail." The rest of the country's like I don't agree with that, right? Yeah. But I know that the rest of the country goes, screw the Middle East, I don't care about that. When he tells you screw the bankers, which he does often, and my guess is he'll pick up the steam on that, a lot of people are going to go,
Schweitzer Warren? Maybe.
Okay. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I do know, given what we've said about Hillary before, given that this dude is coming 100 miles an hour, right? If I was Hillary Clinton, I'd look in that rearview mirror, and you might see a mad Montanan there bearing down on you.